First guest tonight has been speaking his mind to anyone who could afford HBO since 1989. Season 20 of Real Time with Bill Maher is Friday nights, and his new comedy special, Adulting, premieres this Friday night on HBO. Please say hello to Bill Maher. Yeah, your nice music, you know.
Yeah, that's very good.
How's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Good. You've been in an orgy, I assume. You must have been in a whole bunch of them.
I would not want to be in an orgy.
Really?
There's guys in it.
Not necessarily.
Well, then that's your orgies. Yes, of course there is.
Okay, well, would you, if it meant it would solve world hunger, would you fillet another man?
If it would solve everyone from starving, yes,
I
would.
Me too. Of course we would.
Well, but that's kind of an easy question because you're saying everyone.
Yeah.
What about just 10 people?
Oh, no. No, but that's a great way of putting it.
Sorry.
It does come down to the numbers eventually.
It really
ultimately.
does. I mean, I hate to say it.
You're shooting. You're not shooting your show this weekend because in place of your show, which is on every Friday night, is your comedy special on in that spot, and it's super funny.
Thank you.
I watched it the other night. Is there anything though you were missing this week that you feel like you need to get off your chest, or?
No, Jimmy. When I'm off, I'm off.
You're off.
Everything in the world looks fantastic to me this week.
Does it?
I think you and I should go to Coachella together. That's a kind of a... Really? You want to see two late middle-aged men get wounded?
Yeah, it would be just sad, really.
You and I in the mud. We'll start an orgy.
I'm not sure if you're aware of this. I think you are aware of this, that it's almost 20 years ago since your show aired in this very time slot on ABC.
Oh, I remember like it was yesterday when I handed it off to you.
Yes, that's right.
You did a fantastic job with it.
Oh, thanks. Oh, thanks.
You did. I mean, look, you're 20 years later. I mean, come on. Who thought you would last 20 years?
Not me. That's for sure. I wanted to ask you about Gilbert Gottfried. He was on Politically Incorrect, right? I mean...
he could have been on that show. He certainly could not have been on Real Time.
No.
That would have been a disaster.
Because there's no sharing a stage with Gilbert. He becomes the focus.
Well, it's funny, because I was going to this... You know, I think you know I do a show every New Year's in Hawaii.
Right.
I've done it for 11 years now. He was booked on my tour this year.
Oh, boy. Did you know him well?
Well, that's the thing. I've known him for 40 years. Never knew him well. He was a hard guy to get to know well. I mean, he was so funny and so always on. When I spent, I don't know, hundreds of hours with the guy, but it was always sort of like joking.
Always. Never answered a question seriously.
Kind of that way.
Yeah.
There are people I know an hour that I feel like I know better than I knew Gilbert. But I thought, here's the time. That's what that Hawaii trip is for.
Oh, you were going to spend that time?
Well, it's 4 days. You know, we're on the beach. There's orgies. No, but yes, I mean, you know, it's... I
feel the same way about him, and it always made me feel kind of, I don't know, odd when I would ask him a question, he never would give you a real answer, and in a way, it felt like the message was, why would I answer this seriously when I could be funny right now?
Exactly, and that's one thing, and maybe it never would have happened. Maybe we would have just kept that persona up in Hawaii. I could see that.
I'm sure he would have, yeah. I'm sure he would have. You never would have gotten through to him.
Maybe not, but you know, it was worth a try. And if not, then I would just had 4 days with Gilbert. And
laughing at Gilbert.
Laughing at Gilbert. And so, you know, today, I mean, comics were all sending messages to each other about it. And he was the king of too soon.
Yeah.
The king, I mean, he lost his Affleck gig for it. Remember, he got into a world of trouble after 9/11. He was at some roast.
I was there. I hosted that roast.
Is that right?
Yeah. It was of Hugh Hefner, which I'm shocked that you weren't at that roast now that I think about it. But at that time, it was right after 9/11. I mean,
Yes.
the week after 9/11, we taped that. And no one was obviously joking about it. Gilbert gets on stage and says some of the craziest stuff.
Who would be so stupid as to get fired for saying something about 9/11? I did it for you, Jimmy, so you could have this time
Thanks
slot.
again for doing that.
But like, I wanted to come up with some really inappropriate thought or something to say about him dying, because that's how he would want us to handle it. And I felt I really let him down by not being able to come up with something totally inappropriate.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that was his, you know what, I don't think he did let him down, because I wish he could hear all these things that everyone is saying about him, about how funny he was truly one of these guys who was a comedian's comedian, where you go like, oh, this is a guy who really, like, when he told that aristocrats joke at the, he told a horrible 9/11 joke that the audience was booing him. It was like, oh no, we're gonna have to save Gilbert. And then he transitioned into the filthiest joke that was not well received at all for the first like 6 minutes. But the final 6 minutes people were crying.
No. I just feel, one thing I feel good about is that not knowing he was going to go, in my piece at the end of Real Time on Friday, it was about comedians.
I saw that.
And I mentioned him.
Yeah.
Because it sort of took off from the slap at the Oscars, but it was saying we have to end this war on jokes. It's not just the Oscars. This has been going on a while now, that comedians are in the crosshairs, canceled. And I mentioned, he and Kathy Griffin, they were tasteless. And that's why we liked them.
Right. That's the point.
And lots of other people who have had to go away. And so I'm glad he got a shout out. I don't think he was probably able to hear it. But, if I was a religious person, I would say, he kind of knows. But I'm not, so screw that.
Bill Maher is here. His special adulting premieres Friday night on HBO. We'll be back with more and Bill after that.
And then there's Marjorie Taylor Greene, the star of The Real Housewives of Karen County. This chick is about a mood swing from getting naked in a Target. I mean... How is she not a middle school teacher in Florida who's her students? That's what I... Oh, I love you, Florida. You know, I love Florida. I can't help it.
That is Adulting, Bill Maher's new comedy special for HBO. Shot in Florida, of all places. Why did you shoot it in Florida?
I picked that clip for you.
Yeah,
because
thank you.
I know that you have been having
She'll call the cops on you. You have to be very careful.
You have to wear that as a badge of honor.
I do.
That's what I mean. Comedians were under attack in a way. Maybe I guess we were at some point. Lenny Bruce went to trial a lot of times and stuff, but it's not right. As I said Friday night, you need crazy on that wall.
You need crazy people talking.
You do.
And also just disagreeing with people is not okay anymore, I guess.
And pushing the boundaries. We went over the line. How do we know where the line is until we go over it? You should be clapping us on the back for that.
Yeah. You get in a lot of that stuff, and it's very funny. And I love I don't want to spoil it by telling the audience what the title of the special is
I bet
about.
you a lot of them know because they use it. Hashtag
I didn't really know about it.
Because you're 50 or whatever you are. Hashtag adulting. It means when you do something that is just what we would consider just a regular adult thing to do. Like I scrambled an egg today, adulting. I made a dental appointment. That's adulting. And they call that so.
I'm glad we finally made that a gerund or whatever it is, yeah. So you are doing a podcast now.
Yes, I am.
How many episodes have you done?
Well, I've talked to a lot of people. I don't know, I'm so high when I'm doing it. I can't remember.
Is that why it's called Club Random?
Well, Club Random is a place. I mean, we shot there in the pandemic. It's this place on my property. It's this funky little underground, I don't know what you would call it, but, during the pandemic, we couldn't go out. So I said, let's make this into a nightclub. So we kind of did. You know, we got signs and lights, and, you know, it was kind of fun. Music, and that's all you need. It has a bar in it already.
Who named it Club Random?
Well, you know, everything that didn't fit in my real house, I would just shove in.
I see.
So it became very random. But then the guests that we have are kind of random. I mean, everything about it is very random. Everything is, I mean, HBO was very kind to let me do it because they own my ass, and I'm glad they do. And they didn't have to let me, but it's just so different. I mean, like I told them, I said, look, I will not take 1 second away from my massive preparation for Real Time to do this show. And believe me, when you see it, you'll know I'm not lying. I said, I'm just going to go 2 hours a day next door to Club Random, and I'm going to talk to somebody for a couple of hours, and we're going to have a clove cigarette, perhaps. I don't know what they're putting in those cloves, by the way, but and have some drinks. And, you know, I mean, we had the Quentin Tarantino one. That was really a lot of fun.
I bet.
That went on for 2 hours, even though I thought it was 1 hour. William Shatner.
The astronaut William Shatner was on the show.
Bella Thorne, I think, is this week. So it's a combination of, like, Judd Apatow we did. We're going to do Mike Tyson next week.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Nikki Glaser, I know him doing that. I mean, I've talked to William Shatner at parties all the time. I never really knew him. I get to know him. This is the best way to do it.
And did William Shatner smoke those clove cigarettes with you?
he did not.
He did not. Okay.
No.
All right. Mike Tyson will.
Yes.
Yes.
And then there's people who they're from another generation. You know, the TikTok crowd. You have some of those people.
Oh, you do?
It's fascinating for me to talk to them. It's like, you know, I'm from like a different tribe.
Yeah.
But I want to learn about their mores.
Yeah. Well, sure. Why not? You're a curious guy.
Yes, exactly.
Well, Bill Maher he's got a podcast. It is called Club Random. He's got his comedy special called Adulting. It premieres Friday, 10 o'clock on HBO. Always a pleasure to have you here. Thanks again for letting us have the show.
Both shows.
I would love to. We'll be back with Michelle Yeoh. Hi, I'm Jimmy Kimmel. If you want to see all our latest videos, click the subscribe button. And if you don't, click anyway and close your eyes when they come on.